Welcome to Meet My Friends with Daddy Porter. Um, I'm having a Surly Coffee Bender. For us Midwesterners, you know this one. This is a great um, coffee beer. It's 11 a.m. and oh man, heavy coffee. Big coffee notes in the nose and everything. So I'm here today with my friends Ken and April. They are from Living a Stout Life. They will explain everything about that. But basically, they're road trippers, RV road trippers. They hit breweries. I believe they hit some distilleries. They are very active in the craft beer community, especially the vlogging community. I met them last year at the Beer Bloggers Conference. I keep dropping that. I meet so many great people at these conferences. I can't say enough about the character and the fun and the energy that everybody brings when they come to these conferences. So I met them last year in Montana. I believe that was their first year. And again, they were just electric. They're fun. I can't wait to talk to them. I'm going to have another sip of this, and then we're going to jump on in here. But it's going to be an interesting conversation because they are we talked to freaking Ron yesterday. You can check that in the archives on the YouTube channel under Meet My Friends. You'll see freaking Ron there. But they're another set of group of people they're a group of they're a couple that are quarantined like everybody else, and their life is on the road. So it's just going to be interesting to see where they're at as far as that perspective goes. I'm done talking. So here, without further ado, is April and Ken.
Hey, how's it going?
No, how's it going, guys?
How you doing?
Yeah, we got to start with the coffee beer as well. So we got.
Yeah, let's see what's going on.
It's a Rev Coffee Stout
from Parish Brewing out in Louisiana,
which is close to us actually, because right now we're hunkered down in Foley, Alabama, on the Gulf.
Yeah, normally we're out on the road somewhere, and our home is around Denver. But, with this whole having to stay in place thing, we ended up at my brother's place in Foley, Alabama.
Oh, wow. So is that a brewery you've been to?
No. We actually haven't been to Parish, no. We've been very close. Another favorite of ours is Bayou Teche Brewing, which is right near there. But we always end up at Bayou Teche and staying at Bayou Teche and getting too drinky at Bayou Teche to make it down to Parish.
So let's start from the beginning. I like to start from the beginning for everywhere. So obviously you guys are married and you had a family, and you guys, from what I know, and you guys will tell the story, from what I know, you guys lived a, quote, generally normal domestic life, raising your kids and all that. But then at some point, you guys found craft beer, and I don't even think I know this story. So where did the craft beer start between one? It had to start between one of you, or was it both, or where did that start, and then how did that lead to living a stout life?
Actually, our love of snowboarding kind of started our craft beer journey.
We didn't believe it or not. When we were younger and of drinking age, because we've been together probably since we were like 22 or 23 years old. But even then, yeah, forever. We didn't really have a love of beer. If we went out or something, it was probably like a rum and Coke for me or something like that. Like I didn't like beer. Yeah. But we got into snowboarding in our late 20s, and that was kind of the après-ski drink, was these different kind of darker beers. So depending on the ski resort that we were at was the beer that we had. So say like our first few craft beers were
probably like Air Black Butte Porter,
1554
from New Belgium, Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale from me.
And you guys are in the Colorado area, right? So skiing is accessible, quick, generally, right?
Yeah,
pretty well. Not anymore.
Traffic.
The traffic's gotten crazy now for ski weekends and stuff. But it used to be really easy to just shoot up in the mountains and get a ski hill in an hour and a half, and spend the whole day up there, and then spend the afternoon and evening in the bar.
Yeah, I would say we did a lot of growing up on the mountains via snowboarding with our kids and learning all about craft beer.
Yeah, and New Belgium's an OG, so they've been around for a while. So did you guys come up with them? It sounds like it. Or were they were okay, yeah. I mean, it sounds like it because so then that translated to you guys, your kids getting a little bit older, and you guys kind of where did the transition come? Where did living a stout life come from? Like, how did that?
Well, I mean, jumping off with like New Belgium and Oscar Blues and Deschutes and those kind of breweries in the mid to late 90s, that kind of got us kickstarted. And then in the 2000s, everything blew up. And so we became just craft beer geeks, I think, off of that and all the breweries that popped up around Colorado. And so we had always been craft beer geeks at that point, where it became a weekly thing. That was our social gathering, was always to go out with friends and check out the newest brewery or the newest beer or just a favorite. And then as our kids got older, our youngest son is now 21 years old. Mm-hmm. Our oldest is 29. Holy crap. But, our youngest son got old enough to go off to college. And he's actually didn't go off. He stayed home and we left. So basically our youngest son is in college and our two boys live in the house there that they grew up in, and they have a couple of roommates. And then we took off, and when our youngest son was old enough to kind of be steady in college. And so we said, you know what, let's do something different.
Well, initially, like staying with our love for the mountains, our initial goal was to move to the mountains, and that just didn't fit right. And I kind of say it as like, I kind of got pissed, because why is it that I have to rely on somebody else to tell me where I can and can't live? So what are we going to do now if we can't find the place that we want to do in the mountains? And then that's where kind of Living a Stout Life was born. We were listening to a podcast and it was like, wow, you can actually live in an RV. What? So we knew nothing about RVs, and we're like, well, we do want to travel. So we did some research on RVs. We did some research on online businesses and travel blogs. And Kenny came home from work when I was still working, and Kenny's like, how about this? Living a Stout Life. It's a double-edged meaning. It's all about the beer, but it's also about like a full, embodied, passionate, intentional life. And he's like, we can build off of that. And it's definitely evolved since a couple of years ago when we started it. It's evolved, but it's getting there, and it takes a lot of work to build an online business, especially around beer, and a lot of practice.
We do practice quite a bit. And I just want to cheers out to Aloe there. I see Aloe popped on, and cheers to Aloe.
Yeah. So then what does this look like for everybody? Because I know what it looks like, because I talked to you guys, and I don't know if you guys could tell, but I was one of them. Maybe I felt like I was one of the more energetic people to meet you there, just because when I heard your story, I was like, this is what I want. Like, you ever envision kind of like where you want to be, or like how, like, if things could work out right. I mean, I got 2 teenagers, so we're not at that point yet, but when I saw you guys, and I was like, man, this is what I was talking about. So can you tell people what, if they haven't been to your website, which they need to go to right now, it's right down there. One of my favorite things real quick is about you guys is that, like, you both blog. So there's a perspective there from both of you. You may not necessarily write about the same thing, but there's that counterbalance, and that it's not the same person writing. So to me, it keeps me more engaged in your stuff. But so how does Living a Stout Life, if we in 6 months we're able to go back to what we need to do, and where we go, how will that look? How does that look for everybody? Like, how's your, like, a daily, you're on the road, and we're
on the road. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It feels very organic. From when I see you guys post, it doesn't feel like you guys have like a big, like, this is the list and this is where we go. Sorry.
No, that's true. That's a good perception, because we don't have a hit. We don't have like a big list. When we first launched on the road, we knew breweries were going to be a big thing for us because they already were. So when we first left Denver, we had to be at a couple certain places for certain things. And that involved going up to the Northeast because we wanted to visit Maine. And then we had to come down the East Coast for a wedding. And en route to there, I had two bucket list items, and one was to visit Brewdog in Ohio, and the other was to visit Dogfish Head in Delaware. Mm-hmm. And so those were like two things we kind of keyed around at that time, but in between it just develops. And that's kind of our normal thing too, though. We'll have some pinpoints here and there, things that we have to do, a conference we want to be at, or something we're going to do like that. But in between where we're at and where we're going to that point, like if we still have we're going to have our beer bloggers conference in August. I can feel it. I feel it somehow, some way. We're going to make this happen in Austin, in person. I don't know. Maybe I'm pipe dreaming, but I'm hoping it still happens. But in between then and now, we really didn't have a lot of plans laid out, even before the whole pandemic thing.
We plan our blog posts like we plan our travel. We don't plan. And it's exactly like you said, it's organic. So when we first started and he had mentioned Dogfish Head and Brewdog, it was more like, oh, these are really great places and these are really great peoples and these are really great stories. So we started writing about Stout Life Approved. So like that's kind of one of our first blog posts that we really got into, is like, what do we really like about this place? And so we wrote articles about that. And then we got more into mountain biking and mountain biking trails. And we're like, oh, mountain biking goes really well with beer. Like, how can we combine the beer trails with the beer and the breweries? And, oh, we can combine that with camping. So then we started kind of writing about like tourists and how you can be a beer tourist. And so those posts started coming out. And then now recently, it's kind of before all this happened. Hopefully that sound isn't crazy. It's raining now. But now, before all this happened, we were thinking, wow, there's beercations, so maybe we can help people plan a beercation. And so it's exactly like you said, organic. And we've come across people with great stories, and that's where our Stout Conversations on YouTube series is coming from, is breweries with great stories. And now a podcast with all these people that we've met who are living the same life basically that we are. And so now we have interviewed them. Now it's like a beer's lifestyle storytelling. So like I said, it just keeps evolving into what it needs to be.
Yeah, it's when you guys go to their website here, let's pull it up. You guys are, again, there's a lot going on, especially even more than when I met you guys. And I jumped on and I saw it. So we've expanded this now to a podcast.
Right. We're excited.
Right. That's a fairly new thing that we just launched actually in the last few weeks. It's called the Craft Beer Travel and Adventure Podcast. And we went with that name outside of Living a Stout Life because we wanted it to be a little more focused on, I guess we wanted it to be a little more self-explanatory than Living a Stout Life, because that's Living a Stout Life is a little broad. But Craft Beer Travel and Adventure is really what we do. Everything we do centers around us traveling around, searching out craft beer, and usually at a brewery, and the adventures we have along the way, which is, you know, mountain biking, hiking, exploring a little town somewhere or a big town somewhere, and just how all those things come together. And then the exciting people that we meet along the way, because we've met a lot of really cool people. And like here, you can see we launched with some really interesting characters. Jesse and Janae were a couple we met in the midst of them hiking the Colorado Trail from end to end, which is like 500 miles almost, and several thousand feet of elevation gain and decline that took them several months to complete this trail. And so we met them on a rest day at a brewery in a small town. And so they were just a really interesting story from what it was like for them to be spending months together in solitude and not kill each other. And then Jason Ford there from Broken Compass is just a really interesting brewer from Colorado. You can see he looks like the epitome of a brewer, right? With the long old beard and everything. And he's, one of his big passions is going to Burning Man every year and helping build the big giant statue kind of things that they burn down here.
Yeah, he's that guy. Okay.
So we just find all these interesting characters along the road, and we felt like the podcast format was going to be a good way to tell the story, because so many people now, I think, like to listen and just have the podcast on whenever you want. You know, we're still doing our videos as well, but I think the podcast format seems to it seems to have jumped off really quickly. I think people like that because they can just plug it in while they're driving or while they're running or working out or whatever.
And people share their stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I like about you guys is that now you've evolved into different media. So like if I like your videos, I can just hang out there. If I want, if I want your podcast, you guys do a great, fantastic newsletter. I love your newsletter because it comes and then it reminds me of what's going on or something that I missed. So you can sign up with the newsletter. Again, there's so many different avenues that you guys are going. I'm proud of you. I'm happy. And also, I can also feel, I feel you guys because obviously I'm kind of doing it in my way, which is trying to showcase all the awesome people that I meet at conferences and on the road. And one of my favorite dumb sayings is, and I'm starting using it here, is I meet the best people at breweries. And that's just the truth. It's just, for me, it's just where I just feel comfortable, even walking in by myself, sitting down and just waiting for a conversation or waiting for someone to, it reminds me of what I think of like English pubs.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why ours is like say hi to a stranger. I mean, that's the one thing I really do miss right now is going into a brewery, sitting at a bar and just saying hi to the person who's next to you.
Yeah. That's often how we meet a lot of people is, because, traveling around like this, we end up at a lot of places where we don't know people yet. So we, a lot of times we'll just sit up at the bar and just say hey to somebody and, just saying hey just opens up the conversation.
I don't need to talk to him anymore. I want to talk to somebody else. So saying hi to a stranger, it's him talking to somebody else, and then I'm talking to
I don't even believe that, April. I don't even believe that. I have a question for you guys. Is there an area you find going or wanting to go back regularly?
Oh, look, actually, some of them are surprising. They're usually the more smaller, out of the way places that we go back to.
So one place we do go back to regularly, it's probably a combination of a kind of have to and a kind of want to, but because of your love for like the beer now and our love too for the beer conference and stuff, we have another conference that we go to called the RV Entrepreneur Summit. And that's down it's the last couple of years it's been in Alabama. It was canceled this year, obviously, but we were already in Alabama before it canceled. So we found ourselves around the South area a lot, like Alabama. We've been in Louisiana a lot, Georgia, and turns out it's great. I love this area. It's beautiful. But wanting to go back to Maine. Maine
is just an area in general we want to go back to, just because it's a beautiful state, and there are plenty of breweries up there as well. Even when you get into the backwoods areas or the little tiny towns, there's still a brewery somewhere usually. That's the area we would probably go back to. We haven't gone back yet.
No. But
we were only just there about a year ago or so. So
I know Ben's not asking me, but I'm going to answer. Yeah. My answer is Ben doesn't care. No, but Montana would be for me. I completely loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, Western Montana was beautiful.
It's fire. It's just
fire. I was gonna say we play a game when we travel. It's kind of a game that we call Could We Live Here? And we just kind of did a podcast episode, the two of us together, that's not out yet. That one of the questions is, where would you like to settle down when you settle down?
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. But one of the places that both of us agreed on is possibly Montana. It's stunning there. Although if you can't live there in February, maybe you shouldn't live there.
Well, and when we went for the conference last year, as our travels, we just kind of went, okay, we need to be there for the conference. I want to say that was like the beginning of June. But we had nowhere to be for the month before that. So we actually spent almost an entire month in Montana, working our way from the bottom of the state up to Great Falls where the conference was held. And, we spent 3-4 weeks just checking out different areas of Western Montana and lots and lots of breweries along the way. And it was a lot of fun. It's a beautiful state and a lot of great places to just do a lot outdoor activities and things like that.
Yeah, you guys had me jealous.
Can I cut in? I noticed a comment on the screen from one of our friends. Absolutely. You had a great brewing party at Lake Guntersville. So that is one thing I guess maybe we should mention. We do brew in the RV on the road as well. And we did. When we first got to Lake Guntersville in Alabama, late February, early March, we brewed a beer, and we had everybody who was already there for the conference that was canceled then like showed up, and we had a big brewing party. It was a lot of fun.
All right.
We actually brewed grains from Montana, from Malt Europe, who we went to see at the Brewers Conference. We had some grain from them that we brewed our beer with. So
just so everybody knows, that's the RV behind you, right?
It is, yeah.
That's Rafe. That's the name of the RV is Rafe.
That's the RV, and that is my brother's backyard.
So you're quarantined without your kids. Wow. Okay.
We are. We're with my brother and our nephew, and we're actually staying in his house with them because it just made more sense. Because with the RV, there's upkeep if you live in it the whole time. So we decided to park it and stay in the house.
Yeah. I didn't like once the quote pandemic hit fast. What I mean by hit fast, like all of a sudden it was from do we have a problem to everything shut down. Like it just happened at night. So is that what happened to you guys? You guys got caught on the road? Is that the ideal place, or did you just how did that work out?
We were in Lake Gunnersville, Alabama. It's a state park that the RV conference that was going to be held there, and we had already before the pandemic had plans to stay there a month because of the conference, and it was a great way to reconnect with all these people that we've met over the years on the road. So we did stay. Basically, we were kind of quarantined there with the same group of people. It was awesome. And it was this beautiful state park with the lake. So like we were there for the entire month of March. And then after that, we were like, well, where should we go? We couldn't stay there. It got too much. It was too expensive. So we were like, do we really go back to Colorado when all this is going on? And Colorado is basically like shut down.
Well, at the time when our time ran out at that state park, Alabama was just getting to the point of being the next state to shut everything down, I think. Or I guess maybe shut everything down isn't quite right, but the, stay in place kind of thing or whatever. And so my brother was only a few hours drive from where we were at.
In the same state.
And he has a big house, plenty of room, things like that. And so it made sense to go there and be with family and not drive clear across the country back to Denver. And then once we got back to Denver, we wouldn't be able to see most of our family anyway, because we'd have to wait at least a couple weeks probably to be on the safe side of things, especially if we're traveling. So we just moved down here and kind of hunkered. We've been hunkered down here for that time, and we're just kind of waiting for things to at least come somewhat back to normal so we can move around safely. But right now
it's time to go. I always say I didn't move into an RV to live in a driveway.
Or a backyard.
Yes, and I absolutely have to ask, and you've pretty much partially answered, April, which is how are you guys literally doing it? I mean, you guys are on the road people. That's what you do. I was talking to Ferk and Ron, and you guys know him, and he's again on the road too, but I consider him less on the road than you guys. I mean, you guys literally live your life on the road. So are we April, I feel you're a little antsy.
She gets a lot more antsy than I do.
He's so calm. He's just so calm all the time, and there'll be days where I'm just like, oh my God, it's time to like go somewhere. I want to go somewhere. And you can't even, they're like, there's not even any mountain biking trails like right around here. We can go running, and we can go outside, and we can actually go. There's a wildlife refuge that you can go and walk around and stuff, but it's not the same. We can't.
She's the yang to my yin.
I'm like,
we're in a pretty good spot because people around here are, everybody's being pretty safe and keeping distance and all that kind of fun stuff that we love. But we've been, we're in a small area that isn't overly congested. So we go out for walks, and, we get to go running and riding our bikes a little bit nearby and stuff like that. So it's not ideal, but, we're making the best of it.
Right. So I can't wait to see where you guys. I can't wait once this opens up to see where you guys go. I'll be absolutely watching that. Teresa said you guys were teaching wine drinkers how to pair beer.
Yeah,
yeah, a little bit. So at that RV conference that we were attending, one of the things we were supposed to do there was hold food pairing and talk a little bit about that, how beers pair with food. Actually much better than wine pairs with food, Teresa. But but we still had kind of a pared down version of that, because at the time that was happening, everything wasn't shut down quite yet. So we were all still in like, what do we do mode? And so we went ahead with that and had a little beer and food pairing for the people that were already there. And it was kind of fun. We had a good time. Just trying, people brought a lot of different beers from around the country. And then we had people bring different foods, and we didn't put any limits on what you could or couldn't bring. And so it was pretty interesting to kind of go over some basic guidelines of beer and food pairing, and then to see everybody play around with it and try different things and see what worked and what didn't and why. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Food pairing is fun. So
yes.
I like to talk about why you guys are so passionate about what I just put up here, which is hashtag Drink the Story. It's a campaign that our friend Al started, but you guys seem to really run and jump with it. I mean, a couple people did, but you guys seem to be really on it. So I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if you think, Alo's nailed it with hashtag Drink the Story, and it was kind of easy. I mean, it was really easy for us to jump on board simply because, we're big craft beer lovers, fans. All the impact that this has had on craft breweries it's going to be harsh. It already is a little bit harsh. We're going to lose a lot of really good breweries probably from this. But in the meantime, we can at least do our best to help support it. And that's what we do anyhow. That's our lifestyle, is we tell the story. So we tell the story behind the brewery, behind the people who love the breweries, behind the beer. Like, beer is more than, I hate to say it, but it's true, more than beer. It's the story behind it and the people that you meet along the way. And it's really great to be able to tell these stories about these breweries and the people, and to try to get other people encouraged to visit the breweries or to go get takeout. And then when all this, kind of like you said, back to normal-ish, we get to go back to these breweries and find out more about them again and have community again. And
right. And that's what hashtag Drink the Story is all about. It's basically just an awareness campaign so that we don't forget about, our friend, because most of us are talking together because we have a passion for beer. At least that's one of the elements. And, we don't want to forget about our friends in the craft beer industry that, they're in one of the industries that be really hard hit by this whole thing, because they're in the hospitality industry basically, and those folks have a hard time working right now because there's nobody to host, so the Drink the Story, hashtag Drink the Story, is something that we do with actual stories and videos and podcasts, and Alo and Paige are doing stories and stuff. And Alo's doing some contests around it, but anybody can participate in this. There's a Facebook group that for hashtag Drink the Story that anyone who's passionate about beer can join. And if you just want to show your support for your favorite brewery, post a picture on social media, whether Instagram, Facebook, whatever your medium is, use the hashtag Drink the Story, post a photo and say why you love this brewery, and say, I'm going back there the day that they open up, and I'm going to buy a flight of everything they have on tap or whatever. And right now you can also go and buy to-go beer from a lot of breweries. That's a small way that helps keep them going. A lot of beer, some breweries have beer in the grocery stores and things like that where we can pick up stuff there, and we do. Okay. But it's more beneficial to the brewery if you can get a to-go beer from that brewery, or if you're in a state like Colorado or somewhere where they're allowing them to deliver, you can have them deliver beer to your house sometimes.
The entire beer industry is built on collaborations and community, and that's exactly what hashtag Drink the Story is too. It matches it perfectly. Yeah,
you guys don't have to jump off too hard to really support it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys are already, in my opinion, already doing Drink the Story at some level.
Right.
So, Alo is, let's see here. We got some comments. So, it sounds like this Mr. Jeremy here was at your event there, so he still has his note.
Oh yeah, Jeremy was one of the more enthusiastic participants there. He was taking notes the entire time, and he was whipping out those notes even after the beer pairing. He would have them out sometimes when we would just get together for a couple beers and maybe have chips and salsa out or something, and he'd whip his notes out and kind of see what was working, what wasn't working, and write some more notes. And he was in whole hog, and he made it a lot of fun. He was a lot of fun with the pairing, and he had a lot of great notes on the different beers and what they worked with and what they didn't.
He said they were crowdsourced.
Crowdsourced. Okay.
And
probably.
So you already stole a question I was going to ask you, which is the story is part of that. But are there any more tips that you guys can throw out there? Because you guys talk to a lot of brewers and visit a lot of breweries. Any more tips you can throw out there as far as how we can help our favorite brewery or any of that? You guys talked about sharing. You guys talked about takeout. I think I heard certificates, but I'll throw that one in there. And you got anything else?
Well, yeah, the to-go beers are a great way to do it because that gets the money more directly in their hands instead of buying a 6-pack at a store or something like that. But, buying merch, buying gift cards for those breweries for when they're back open. And then there's another campaign out there from a company called drinklocalthinkglobal.org.
Okay.
And
I'm just going to go to sleep while he keeps talking.
Yeah, she'll just pass out. But they're a nonprofit and they're raising money for brewery employees that are either out of work or have had their hours way cut back right now. And so if you have a few bucks to donate, go to drinklocalthinkglobal.org and you'll see the big donate button. And that goes directly to employees of breweries to try and help them get through their bills and things like that.
You don't have anything else to use your stimulus check for. Just go there and put it there.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a great point, Ken, because a lot of this, they're saying that alcohol consumption is up. So that means that people are buying the beer, but where we're missing and where we can't help is the people who work for tips. The food it's hard to even get that, because you go into a brewery, you guys know, you go into a brewery, soon after that you have a flight, soon after that you're ordering food. And then that whole element is just not there anymore. Even if you get takeout, it's just not the same. And, breweries aren't even doing the same takeout. So, that's a really good point as far as making sure that you buy from, if you can, the brewery, visit there. A lot of breweries, I don't know, what are you guys seeing out there in Alabama as far as how are breweries adapting? Are they doing the, the curbside? Are you guys able to get delivery? What's going on?
Where we're at, we have basically 2 breweries that are within reasonable distance of us. And they're both doing curbside pickup. They're not allowed to do delivery down here.
Up in Huntsville and Gadsden, northern Alabama too, they had the breweries that were, because Huntsville, Alabama has, I think, 14 different breweries in that region of this small community that I believe probably a good majority of them are still doing curbside pickup. And
right. And so, yeah, they're doing the same thing here. A lot of them have made it really easy by having online ordering. So you can order ahead and then just go pick it up really quickly when you get there. And a lot of them also have where you can add a tip on there too, and you can still tip those guys that are there working, that are they're out there at least delivering the beer to you and filling up growlers, and they're doing a whole different kind of work than they're used to, probably the way it's happening. But you can still leave tips for them, and a lot of them have food trucks and things too now that you can get to-go food from these food trucks while you're there.
And everyone's still so friendly. I mean, I saw a comment on there earlier that said breweries help build community. And that's, even if you go there and you're just going to pick up some beer, curbside, the people there that are still serving the beer are still willing to sit there and talk to you and hang out and answer questions. And they have a smile on their face. It's almost like you're walking into the brewery and sitting at the bar.
And a lot of those breweries, even though they're struggling and they're doing the best they can with curbside, are doing fundraisers too for other people. One of the breweries near us, Fairhope Brewing, they're selling T-shirts that say "Beer for a Nurse" on it, and $10 every shirt sale goes to help the first responders.
I think it's online.
Frontline workers and responders.
It's FairhopeBrewing.com, I think.
Yeah, and if you go to FairhopeBrewing.com, you can order that shirt anywhere in the country. So there you go.
All right, do that again.
FairhopeBrewing.com.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
See, that's why I have you guys around. So Sterling says this. I didn't know this.
Yeah. Optional or built-in tip options. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we have seen that quite a bit. Big Beach Brewing down here that has a really good in Gulf Shores, Alabama. They have a They have a good online ordering system set up, and they have where you can tip the staff, and that money goes directly to their staff. It has nothing to do with saving the brewery's backbone. It goes to pay their staff that's working right now and doing their best to keep things afloat.
Gotcha. So I have to ask this question. And we're kind of shifting here. So living a stout life there's a double meaning there for sure. But the one side of the meeting is about beer. So I'm Daddy Porter. Everybody knows I love porters. So you guys love stout, right? Is that the whole?
Well, yeah, we do. We're drinking a coffee stout right now.
Okay. Just making sure.
We can't end it at stout. Like it's all about all the craft beers. Like just all the beer.
All the beer. It's all the beer.
My co-host, when he's available, he's not available today. He's working, but he did send a message saying, "Did we discuss underrated styles yet?" We didn't discuss any styles yet, Doug. But now that you asked, I'm gonna let them. I started with we like stouts. So what are your underrated, styles, especially because you guys get around, y'all.
Like something that we don't drink too much or we don't think much of.
An underrated style, meaning like you guys travel around. Is there a style that you don't see that you want to see more, or something that you think that people don't? You know what I mean? Like my answer would be ESBs.
Yeah,
you don't see those, or even English bitters, like a real English bitter. You don't see those around here, or I don't see them enough. What you guys?
No,
think?
you don't see ESBs very much across the country. And cask ale is a really difficult thing to find across the country, even though it's fantastic beer if you've ever had it. There's a few breweries that have them, but
and then you said Czech.
Even in Denver, where there's a couple hundred breweries, there's like just one or two that have cask ale on the regular.
You said Czech.
Another thing I would like to see more of is Czech Pilsners. Pilsners are starting to kind of make a comeback now, and because the craft guys are making really good Pilsners now versus just the standard go-to stuff that people don't like all that much anymore. But there's some really good Pilsners coming out, and what I've really discovered lately is Czech Pilsner, which I don't think there's a lot of them out there. I see a few every now and again. I'll see a Czech Pilsner, but what I really want to see is somebody pouring Czech Pilsners in the different pours that the Czechs do. Because I've only read about this. I've not been to Czechoslovakia. And from what I understand is they have 5 different ways of pouring the same beer to make it a different type of drink every time. There's one that's like almost all foam. There's one that's wet foam, dry foam, all these different things.
Sounds
and
like cappuccino.
I'm like, how do you do that with a single beer? But that is something I want to see. And we might have to go do a tour over to Europe and actually experience it. But
I want to be invited, please.
I was gonna say, can you see who gets deep into the woods of the beer? Like anything, like really deep into the woods, like it's styles or tastes or anything. Like he's the one when you're talking about voices and writing. This guy's the one all about the beer and the malts and the process.
I'm the Uber beer geek. She's more of the travel junkie.
It's great when it comes together. It's, in my opinion. So my friend Benjamin says Russian Imperial Stout. Now I wanted to argue with this idea, but if you think about it, I think he has a point, because I don't think you see many Russian Imperial Stouts. We see a lot of bourbon barrels, and I think I get those. Sometimes I get them mixed up in my head. But a Russian Imperial Stout has no bourbon in it, so it's something I don't know. I think we go to more bourbon barrels than we go to Russian Imperials. You guys, or Ken, or you guys have anything on that on Russian Imperial Stouts? As an underrated style, I don't see a lot of them.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, is that you don't see a lot of Russian Imperial Stouts just by themselves, without being a barrel aged or something now. That's something I wouldn't mind seeing more of. That's a really nice style. It's a really good base style to work off of to do like, a bourbon barrel. But I think the beer in and of itself is, I just like savoring every little character of it. And, a Russian Imperial Stout is a really complex beer because there's so many little flavors that mix to make that darkness that I can sit there for hours just like, oh, there's a little cinnamon in there somewhere, or there's a little bit of dark chocolate. Not like milk chocolate, but there's a little dark chocolate, or, or did they throw coffee beans in that? You know, you can sit there for days and pick apart a Russian Imperial Stout, which I really enjoy. And I would drive April nuts with that. Probably.
Do you know what? Wait, I have to say this. Do you know what he said last night when he crawled into bed? He said,
he literally crawled. I never say no.
He crawled.
Love it. I love live streams. Keep going. No?
He crawled into bed last night and he's like, "Do you know what I miss? I miss tasters."
Oh yeah.
Like
doing
I was
a flight.
like, yeah.
Going to a brewery and getting a flight of beer.
And so now that you're talking all about this, and all these people that are, you know, like they're coming up in the comments, like the Dark Mild, the Russian Imperial Stout, or the ESBs, or like the Pilsners and all that you're talking about now, I can like see his comment. I miss tasters.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh man, that is my life, and you're right. Like pouring a whole beer is, again, people like think of me, but I'm like, I don't want to drink a whole beer. I like of one flavor. I want like 17 flavors, and I want them now. I'm with you.
Well, I want to do that, and then I want to have one or two full beers after that. So,
right.
I'm not moderating when it comes to a brewery.
This is true. So, Ben says, yeah, I always see barrel-aged Russian Imperials, but it's not something I've seen a regular one.
Yeah, not often.
And Teresa's misses flights too.
Yep.
That's another good friend of ours, and
all the time.
They're often doing. We've done many flights with those guys.
And that's Doug again saying double entendre for the win, guys. So he likes that. I do too. So explain that. Go in a little bit in depth, kind of about, or April, sorry, about the other side of the stout life. Meaning, I saw a really I can't pull it up because I forget where I saw it. I think it was on my phone when I Googled you guys. Give me a full-throated what you mean by living a stout life, as not the beer part, which is the stout style. I'm talking about like life. Like one of the things that I remember most about the last Beer Blogger conference is when you and I kind of were talking about this, and you went a little bit further as far as about being kind to people and all that. So I kind of want you to put that message out there. You know what I'm talking about? Either you guys both know what I'm talking about.
Because she makes me be kind to people. I'm usually kind of a jerk, but
not.
She's making me be kind.
Oh wait, I have to. Okay, so Teresa here says, "I miss you guys even more than I miss flights." Oh, I have to do that. All those.
See, you can see it's her, right? Yeah.
So like so many people, Jordan from Woods Boss Brewery, and like definitely Michael Fronti and Spearhead, a reggae pop peace musician, like activist person, like all these guys, like drink, work hard, and be good to people. Like that's the whole message, and that's really what a stout life is. So even way back when Kenny and I are both doing the whole like 9 to 5 kind of thing, working and raising our kids, it was still, even then, it was still about living the best life that you can and doing the things that you love and recognizing the little things that bring you joy. And I'm not even close to saying that our life when we were living the whole 9 to 5 typical thing was awful, because it was nowhere near awful. It was beautiful life that we had with our kids and staying in our home and like going to the mountains and snowboarding them, teaching them all these things. And our jobs were still, pretty decent jobs. But it's more about like, what is your life at this moment saying? What should you be doing right now? Are you ignoring the things that bring you passion and just like stomping it down? Or are you like listening to it? Are you, if travel is what makes you, but what brings you joy and what spreads the love to everybody else because you're joyful, then you should be doing that. Find a way to make it happen. Don't come up with excuses that you can't. And if you are constantly coming up with excuses, it just basically means that you're not ready for that part yet. And so like, that's the stout life.
Right. So one thing we say quite often to kind of boil that down is just live your life with intention, do something that makes you happy and pursue that happiness. On
one of the podcasts too, I think Janae, she said something like, she's like, I'm ashamed to say that right now we might not be living a stout life because it's going to be kind of a normal life. And I'm like, that's still your stout life. Like if right at that moment in time, you want to settle down in a house and like go to work and buy your, and have dinner on a Friday night and like have things planned out because you haven't had that for so long, or because that's what you love, that's your stout life.
Yeah.
Like it's what brings you that inner peace and that joy. And yeah, that's what it is.
I can listen to this shit all day. I'm serious. I'm serious. And
well, you definitely can now because we have a podcast, so you can listen to it over and over and over all day long.
I'll say this so you guys can remark or not, but like there isn't a better time for that message, in my opinion. It couldn't be a better time for your message. And that's why when I heard Ken and I had a conversation, and when I heard it, I was like, man, like that is so deep, but it's so not deep, but it's so deep. And I wanted to make sure that was something that we made sure that we got to during this podcast, because for me, it's really the most I take from you guys, is that message right there. So cheers. Thank you for being here. So Susan has a comment.
Ken and jerk. No.
That's my friend Tony. He says, "Yep, be good to people."
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yep. So Sterling's remarking here about I don't know, you guys have had Hardywood, haven't you?
No, we have not.
Ooh, we got to get Hardywood, folks. We got to get some Hardywood, Sterling.
Hardy, that's
coffee and raspberry. See, where you guys at with? See, I got a problem with fruited stouts and porters. Sorry.
They're not one of my favorites.
Sometimes it depends.
But April has one right now in the fridge here from New Holland. They have the Dragon's Milk, which I think most beer geeks are more familiar with Dragon's Milk, but they have a raspberry milk stout, a raspberry version of it. That's actually pretty good.
Right, it's good. I know.
But again, you can only really drink one. I mean, you can't just drink a lot.
I can sip it, but
wait, what are you laughing at, Craig?
I'm laughing at because it's an ongoing joke with me and Doug, which is specifically New Holland. They come out with these crazy ass sounding beers, and they always end up being very, very good. Like they have like orange, raspberry, pine popsicle stout, and I'm like, and then I try it, I'm like, damn, this is pretty good. So like that's why I'm laughing.
We went to a brewery outside of Houston like that too, called Ingenious. That they do a lot of really crazy shit. I mean, we were down there and they had like the Peep stouts. You know, literally we're pairing their stout beers with Peeps, the little marshmallow candy thing. But they had like a base stout that they did probably 20 different versions of this stout, just variants of the same stout with different things added to it, different adjuncts. And each of those were pretty good, but I could only do like 2 or 3 ounces of it, and then I'm like, yeah, that was really good. That tasted good, and then I'm moving on. I would never drink a pint of that, or even a 12 ounce or whatever.
That's when you're like, just give me a beer. Like I just want a beer that tastes like a beer.
Right.
But that's the great thing with craft beer too. There's something for everybody, really. I mean, if that's what you like, and you want a little dessert when you go into your brewery, you can have dessert.
Right. And it says obviously it does pretty well. It won a gold GABF. Sterling also says, guys, that he'll bring some Hardywood.
Yeah.
Okay,
awesome.
Just
we'll
because
bring
of that,
plenty of stuff. Throw out your wish list, and we'll bring something.
Yeah. And I had to make sure you saw this one.
I know. Like, what the hell, Teresa? That's again deep and not deep all at once.
Right.
I'm the whole pool. I'm the whole swimming pool all at once. Deep
So so then going forward, do we have any ideas about our first destination after this, or are we just keeping it organic like we normally do?
Well, see, initially the plan was we weren't going to be back in Colorado until like June anyhow, so I imagine
probably Colorado.
Probably mid-May we'll start heading back towards crazy Colorado right now. Because
gotcha.
I guess, yeah.
As long as things keep on the uptick, we should be heading that way. Probably mid-May or so. We were supposed to be down in San Antonio right now for the Craft Brewer Conference, which obviously didn't happen. And then the next big pinpoint on our agenda, on our map, is Austin in August. So hopefully that pinpoint's going to stay and it's going to happen. I can feel it. I can feel it in my gut. We're going to make it happen somehow. It's not a huge conference, so I think there are ways we could make that happen.
We're I think we're planning on being in South Dakota. My dad has a farm there, so we're going to meet some family there, hopefully. But then we're hoping, because we're trying to get kind of a reunion of sorts with some mountain biker friends in Salida in July. So we're hoping we can still do some mountain biking in Salida, Colorado as well.
Hopefully.
You guys are like you guys are in a bunch of different communities, is what April was saying before. You're in the RV community. Clearly, you're in the beer bloggers community. Clearly, it sounds like you're in a mountain biking community. So, I mean, there's just a whole bunch of, once you, respectfully, once you kind of filter people out and you go to, I don't mean by that in a negative way. I mean, once you go to these things, when I go to these things, I find that like the level, it picks my level up. Like, whether it be energy, whether it be, wow, look at all these people doing these crazy, wonderful things. I could do better. And that's where I need synergy from other people. And this is why I'm not getting it now, sitting in my house. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason why I'm reaching out to my friends and literally bugging people to come on the show. Not really harassing, but bugging, like, I'm staying up. If you say yes to me, then I'm staying on you. Because I need that. I think this is part of my therapy. See you guys.
You like twisted my arm all up and stuff, and it's like come back. But
well, with all due respect, Ken, I've been trying to schedule you guys since I met you, and these are facts.
We were scheduled for a while off and on. Like we both had things pop up.
Right, and it's just been evolving. So now, when I was like, I need to do something during this pandemic, and I just started my Meet My Friends thing. I mean, I had started before, but I'm like, you need to take it up now, because not only do you need content, and that's great, but also I miss my friends. And I'm not. If the Beer Bloggers goes down, I'm scheduled to go to Fresh Fest, which is the same week, so I won't see you guys if it goes down. So there is part of me, I know it's bad, that wants it to be canceled, so that I can't go to anything. And because I feel torn and I don't like that. So just cancel everything, and then I don't have to go. So I know that's bad. It's selfish. It's fucking selfish, but
it is. Cut it out.
I'm into it. At least I'm like, all right, I'm a selfish prick. It's cool. No.
That's why we love you.
Seriously though, man, that's something that we all need, man. I really do hope it goes down, and we need to, but I'm not keeping my I'm not gonna get my highs up, but or hopes high, but yeah, man, I'm gonna miss again, it's just so many, different wonderful ideas coming, conversion. It's just, I don't, honestly, if there's never a Beer Bloggers conference, I wouldn't care, because I know enough of you guys that we could just all make our own. Let's all meet in Omaha, Nebraska or something, and let's just do our own thing for 3 days. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Heck yeah.
That's why when we first went there last year, we had never heard of it because we hadn't really done much with beer blogging or writing about beer or building a business around it. But last year we were like, what the hell? There's an RV entrepreneur conference. All right. Had no clue. And then wait, there's actually a beer journalism conference. Are you kidding me? There's conferences for everything. And like Teresa here says, communities are inspiring. Like all these people on the places and all the things that come together, just like you said, elevate you and just get you super stoked and excited. And it's really hard right now when you're just sitting here.
Yeah.
Right. So I got a question for you from my friend Paul. He has 2 questions actually. We'll start with this one.
Oh no,
I think he froze.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Wait.
It looked like you froze up for a second, Greg, but I can see the question on the screen. It says, our podcast is on everything.
Oh, you messed it up.
What?
All the podcasts.
All the podcast sites. Yeah, we use a company called Circle that's great, and they broadcast it out to all kinds of different podcast services. So we're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean. Pretty much you name it, it's probably there. So, or will be within a couple of days.
Video series on YouTube, right?
Yes. Yeah. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/livingastoutlife.
And we have
it's pretty easy to find.
Yeah, a variety of conversations happening there. A lot of those are usually with brewers and breweries, but it's a variety of different people and different things on the YouTube channel as well.
Right. We focused a lot on brewers and breweries in the first year, but we're starting to reach out to more fellow beer geeks and adventure travelers and things like that too. And so
and
there's a lot of cool stuff.
There's
cool people that you're gonna meet.
One you really have to watch on our YouTube channel. It's called A Girl with a Problem. It's Kenny like being extremely hilarious and a little bit drinky. A Girl with a Problem on YouTube.
A Girl with a Problem on Living a Stout Life channel on YouTube, and Ken's reaction is enough for me to get there this afternoon.
In my defense, I was a little bit drinky at the time.
Right. This might be a post too. I can get I'll get you some publicity. So this is not a normal question I normally ask my guests. But it's a side joke that we have going on here within the Daddy Porter community, which is so when Paul wants to know if you guys sleep with a top sheet. You have a fitted sheet, and then you have a sheet, like a sheet that you put over you, a thin sheet. Then you have a comforter. So in the RV, do you guys sleep with a top sheet?
If it's cold, yes. We do. If it's not, no.
Okay. Wait.
And it's a t-shirt. It's a t-shirt style sheet. So like it's like that t-shirt type style. It's not like a
right. It's thin. Right.
That was a very interesting question, but okay.
It started. I was at a conference, and long story short, we were in Washington D.C. and I just got. I mean, I can talk politics. You guys know I probably did talk politics with you, but I was just tired of the, back and forth of the politics. So I started asking questions about like, do you guys use a top sheet? Because I just started. My lady got me the flannel top sheets, and I just started using the top sheet, and it's so nice. So then I put it on my Facebook status. And an hour later, there was 100 comments of people arguing about whether they use a top sheet or not, and and I was like, "This is amazing." So then I just talked. We usually talk about it on Friday. I usually don't bring it up in these, but when people ask, I have to say.
Okay, now you're inspiring me to come up with some weird little question too at the end of ours.
Right, like I just think, especially in this time, we need to. Again, there's so many things to worry about. It's just cool if we just argue. Top sheets or
boxers or briefs.
Right. See, I don't know how you can not use a top sheet in like a hotel. But we have people who don't use a top sheet in a hotel. And I don't even understand that. I'm not even trying to go there. And I'm like, what? So yeah, the whole top sheet thing is So anyway, Ken and April, it's been awesome having you guys. Is there anything else about living a stout life that you want to get out there before we wrap?
Check out our podcast. Check out, we have so much. Just come by and say hi. Send us an email. Get on our newsletter. Go to YouTube. Whatever floats your boat. We'd love to hear from you and talk to you and say hi to a stranger and be good to people.
I'm gonna try to schedule you guys once we go back because I want to give everybody an update about what you're doing, where you're going, and just refreshing everybody's mind that you're still out there. And again, you got a great story, so I want people to kind of follow you.
Anytime.
No, for sure. We'll jump on anytime you want, man.
So Susan agrees you've got to have a top sheet. And see, look, the bed is negative.
Top sheet.
I agree.
Okay. I suppose something should have some clothes on.
Right. And on that note, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I don't usually talk about this, but you guys have had one of the most engaged stories, not only and viewer wise, people were engaged. I still see numbers up there I've never seen before. So thank you. And you guys take care.
You too.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, that was a great interview. Love them. Love it. Love them. Love it. Let's see here. Tonight we have Jeremy and Joel from breweryfinder.org. And I believe they do distilleryfinder.org. And they also have a brewery job listing page. That's at 9 p.m. Central. And I will be joined with my esteemed colleague, Doug Ziegler. Scotch for yours. I said his name wrong, but he'll get over it. I am excited. Actually, it's noon here, so it's time for lunch. I will see you guys in 9 hours, if you wish. But all these reside on my YouTube channel, YouTube / Daddy Porter, straight one word, I believe. And then under Meet My Friends, you'll see all these ones that I'm compiling. And then you can also see Brothers and Booze, which is tomorrow. Doug and I. Let's see here. We have the president of At Home Dad Network, John Hazy Grove, JHG, affectionately call him. We will talk about the foundation, how it is that we have a foundation in the pandemic. But we also talk to JHG about how he's a president of an organization that talks about at-home dads, and there are 100 million at-home dads now because everybody's at home. So it'll be very interesting conversation with him. And I'm going to sign off here, and I will talk to you soon. Cheers, and thanks for watching.